Welcome to Back in the Box, your dose of discussions and stories shared about how we felt we were kept in certain boxes in our lives by society and close family members who expected us to sit in a box and stay in it. In our podcast, we aim to lift the lid on all the times we tried to break out of the boxes.
I'm Em.
And I'm Z.
We are both British South Asian women and are lifting the lid on all of our personal experiences and doing so as two friends having a light-hearted conversation. And through healing, we're now in a position to be able to talk openly and vulnerably in the hope that you may also be able to resonate with our experiences.
Join us to lift the lid on that box.
In this episode, we'll be discussing boxes around parenting adult children and when they leave the nest.
I started preparing when my son started college, as I knew it was a matter of time when he would actually leave home. So I actually heard of mothers who went through the empty nest syndrome and how mentally challenging it was for them. Some being on antidepressants, being isolated. So I didn't want to get caught out. So I started to prepare myself quite early on, to be honest with you. How about you, Em?
Oh, wow. You're like super prepared to research this empty nest syndrome. That was not me. I was not prepared. And thinking about the impact on myself, well, I didn't even think about that. I was more focused on supporting my children right up to when they left for university. So at this point, I was a single mother. And for me, just thinking about their well-being through A-levels was really important. And then visits to different universities to get them to think about what they thought would suit them. So I was on practical mode, forget the emotions, box those away. Let's go down the practical route was me. I started to put together their uni items, and in the summer before we all went shopping, and I actually did not at one point think about the impact of them leaving on me personally. So having been to university, and I thought it was a great time, I felt like it was a rite of passage for them to go if they wanted to, and they did. I thought about my experience, and for them it's like young adults learning to be independent, to be fully responsible for themselves, that cooking and cleaning, and letting them be with their peers and learning and supporting from each other. I must say I felt it most when my eldest went to uni, as she was the first to do so. I was really excited for her, as I had such a great experience at uni. My youngest and I helped her set up her room, had a wave of emotions, and tears just started pouring out of my eyes after saying goodbye to her, and smiling and waving, pretending everything's all right, you'll be fine. And as we were driving away, that was it. It all came out. And then my youngest was watching me and started texting her sister, "Oh no, Mum's at it again. She's bawling." So I think it hit me all of a sudden that my firstborn was not going to be under my roof and under my protection. And for that reason, it was really hard letting go and not knowing how she would settle. But I did feel reassured because her boyfriend was going to the same uni. With my youngest, when she went to uni, I felt more both the loss of her wonderful company, but also for myself, as no one was left at home. That for me was actually personally harder. My life had changed. I had all this time and space that had been occupied and busy with the children, thinking about them, and now they were gone. I had been there to help them, and I loved the fact that they needed me to help them. I loved the mother role. So for me, it was like, what could I do with all this time now? And I remember one of my friends who doesn't have children, I remember her saying to me that she used to book up her weekends and book with friends in advance to go and spend a weekend with them or see them. And I thought, oh, that's such a great idea. So I started filling my weekends meeting up with friends. And because I just didn't want to be alone in the house. And I had a fear of being by myself. And when I reflect on it, it brought back memories of me being left on my own when I was in the marriage and the ex-husband would just go out in the evenings and I felt lonely. What was it like for you, Z?
Oh, I have to admit, I mean, you saying all that,
Yeah.
it's kind of like bringing up memories on when, like, my eldest went to uni and, letting go. So for me, I was excited, same way. I was excited my son going off to uni. I was like, oh my gosh, uni's like the best thing. And he was a gamer. Like, he would spend most of his time in his room doing video games. So I was like, great, this is going to be his first time venturing out of town, like, out of the family home, meeting with completely new people. So for me, there was a minimum of 100 miles away from us. So he could easily commute to London or get somewhere to one of the universities in London. I was like, no, it's a minimum 100 miles away from home. That way there is no temptation to get back home every weekend or whenever he had a wobble. So we settled on Nottingham, which was quite a number of miles away from us. So I did have a tear when we were leaving him in his dorm, and my daughter, my hubby, kind of like caught me, and I was like getting a little emotional. I had like one tear come in my eye. Yeah, it was just one tear. Yeah, and they were like, "What is wrong with you? Like, are you crying? What is wrong with you?" And I literally had to brush away my tear and pretend it never happened and like shake myself off. I was just like, what? I'm allowed to get emotional, but they did not allow me to. They were like, no, he's not dead. He's just going to uni and that's it. So I wasn't allowed to get emotional like you did.
Yeah, you had one tear. I just literally had bucket loads coming out.
Honestly, I felt like I should have bucket loads. I had a whole bucket inside me, but they would not allow me to actually allow one tear out, to be honest with you. I was not allowed to be emotionally available with my family. But my daughter, she made the transition easy for me in a way because she jumped straight into my son's bedroom when he was packing to go, not when he actually left. She claimed his bedroom as her own. She had a lot of presence. She was quite loud. I think she secretly always wanted to be the only child. So she was like, right, this is it. This is my moment I've been waiting for. The bedroom is mine. This home is mine, right? You are not going to miss anyone that's been here prior to me. So she filled the house with noise.
She clearly loved the limelight and the spotlight there, didn't she?
100%. She was just like, who is this guy who's known as my brother, who gets attention? Like, he's not even allowed 25%, 20%, 0% now. Like, this is my life. So, yeah, she was living her best life as the only child.
Yeah, I think my youngest, again, she definitely relished the role of the only child in the house. And she also, interestingly, claimed the biggest bedroom. So it must be the youngest rite of passage, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What were your feelings of letting your son go when he went to uni? I know you said you kept this bucket inside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest with you, I was excited. I knew that this transition or this journey, him going to uni, would actually be an absolute positive for him. It would allow him to understand who he was, to discover himself. I knew full well deep down that this will make him the person he was going to be long term, like the boy turning into a man, basically, or the boy turning into a young man. I knew that, so I was quite excited for him. I wouldn't let him get in the train. I was like, no, I will come pick you up. I will drive over, like, it was 150 miles. My husband was like, yeah, you can go. Like, I'm not going.
That's dedication, girl. That is dedication.
And I think it was because my dad used to do it for me. For me, I just wanted to replicate everything I had for my son because it was a positive experience for me. It showed a lot of love. So the thought of someone getting public transport, I was just like, whoa, what the hell? So it was really nice. So we started picking up like twice a month, and then it'd be like once a month, and then actually, no, it goes to once a month, to be fair. And that helped me kind of let go. I was still texting every night and saying, good night, puppy. Hope you're having a nice sleep. Sweet dreams.
You were weaning yourself off slowly, weren't you?
I was trying to wean myself,
Yeah.
but then I would like literally just message him every night. And my husband would be like, what are you doing? They're like, let him go. Stop smothering him. He's not a baby. Let him grow. I was like,
Oh,
saying good night. I mean, it's like you're tucking him into bed. Just let him be and not be that needy mum in that regards. But then COVID hit when he was at uni, and that was when he was alone completely for the whole COVID time. So he did get COVID, he did get sick, and that was probably a little hard for me because I wasn't there to look after him.
yeah.
And it was probably hard for him because that was a turning point, I think, him maturing, because he then had to cook for himself, then had to recover, not have someone wait on him, basically. And one of the things was like he was then able to deal with spiders.
Oh,
The whole family had phobia of spiders. I
me
had a phobia of spiders.
too. I have a spider scream as well. You know, when I see spiders, it only comes out then. Ugh.
Yeah, I did too. Now I'm a freaking bloody spider woman sort of thing, you know. I'm a spider catcher. I'm a spider catcher. Like, I have to have rubber gloves on, yeah, but I don't like to touch them sort of thing. But I can get them and I grab it. I'm the only one in the family that grabs spiders and puts them out the window.
I cannot believe you actually physically grab them. I have to use the glass and a bit of card underneath and catch them that way. I cannot grab them like that. That's brave. I take my hat off to you. Can you be my designated spider catcher?
So he actually had to try and get out. Like daddy long legs, they're not even scary, but he freaks out, right? So he had to get them out. I'll be on the phone call with him, FaceTiming him to like, no, get us back. And we're both be screaming at the same, it's going to get you. But anyway, it was nice for him to do things himself, but also it was a bit weird for me not jumping at his every whim.
Yeah.
So allowing him to solve his own issues himself. So in a way, you become a bit more of a coach. I don't know about you, but you become a bit more of a coach when you're sort of giving them advice.
Yeah. I get what you mean. I mean, I would say that I had that urge to regularly check in with my eldest when she went to uni, but I knew that she would be busy. I remember how I was when I was at uni and literally made like time to make a call. My parents say every week for a 10-minute call, and the rest of the time I was like enjoying life, and I thought, well, I don't really want to do that and just sort of be on top of her the whole time. And she did call, you know, every week and came home at the start. She was at Nottingham as well. But like you, Z, it became less and less. But not living too far away meant that if she sort of said, oh, I don't feel well, can you come up, Mum? I'll be like, all right, I'm in the car, I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
With my little nurse bag ready for you. So a bit of mum comfort. And I have to admit, it felt nice that I was needed at that time as well. But I also wanted her to live her life and not sort of feel beholden to be calling or coming home. And so over time, she, like your son, became more and more independent and less reliant on advice like, Mum, how do I cook rice? Or what do I do here? And she was doing her own thing. And FaceTiming was a great way of catching up, like you were saying as well. Because in our days, we didn't even see our parents. Well, you did, but I didn't see my parents for quite a while. It was just a phone calls, could hear their voice. And she was at the same uni as her boyfriend, so I knew she wouldn't be on her own. But one of the boxes for me was that I encouraged her to stay in a separate place for him, because I thought, well, you're going to uni, you need to break out, you need to make your own social group. Don't just be with your boyfriend. And it ended up that she didn't really have much in common with her flatmates and ended up living most of the time in his room in the first year. But she did find her own friends on her course and through her hobbies. In the second year, they actually had their own rooms in a shared house. And the last year, they got a flat together, just the two of them. And that was a really great transition, and it really helped to cement their relationship. And it was really comforting for me to know that she had somebody there as well. I did miss her wonderful presence, and there was a sadness that I was having to let go. And I wasn't needed, and I wasn't the most important person in her life. And knowing this, but also that I'd been raising her to be independent and strong so they could survive and get on with life without me. Yeah, it was a box that I didn't want them to be in, needing me. And it was something that I needed to adjust my thinking in, get myself out of that box. As in, yeah, their dependence of me, that loss of my role as their mum in the way that I'd done it before, where they'd needed me to do things and help them. Yeah, that was really hard for me at that time. But as my girls would say, that was a me problem, not a you problem.
Kids really see through your soul, can't they? Something like, it's, you know what, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah,
it's just you. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, with my youngest, I think it was harder. Setting her up and leaving her, I actually felt I had this big weight in my stomach, because she also, although she was with her boyfriends, I didn't know how she would be with her flatmates, because she's quite a shy person, a bit like your son, And in my head, I was thinking, is she going to be sitting on her own? Is she going to be all right? But I realised this again was my box and my fear. And it's trying to readjust, that thinking. She'd phoned and FaceTimed at the start, and again, this died down. And then one of her friends started to be funny with her, and she started to feel ostracised from the group of friends. And that was hard for her. And boy, was that hard for me, because I just wanted to protect her from feeling low. And I couldn't be there. I couldn't see her. But I could just be there to listen to her. She had to find her own way to feel okay and find solutions. That was so hard for me, letting go of trying to be her protector. So, yeah, for me, a huge change with no children in the house. I was living by myself for the first time in my life. I was now cooking for myself, only for myself. Really hard to portion just for one person. And I sort of lapsed into making easy dinners. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just have poached egg on toast today. Oh, all right then. I'll just have cereal or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to cook for just me. I was cleaning the house on my own, evenings on my own, and really having to readjust so much. And I have to admit, I was alone and felt lonely at first. Had to rediscover what I like to do outside of my work and my purpose, my role as mother, and my friendships as well. So I started doing things to give me joy personally and try out new things as well. I even started to cook healthy meals for myself and did meal prep, which is a great way of not cooking for one. So, and bonus, I had a few meals over a few evenings instead of cooking every evening. But it did take time and work to readjust and find new routines, and really having to shift in mindset to help me move forward. Z, how have you found things have changed since your son left uni?
Yeah, just before I start, I think it's probably just good to acknowledge the loneliness part, because I don't think you actually realise how lonely it must have been. I think more so for you, the fact that, in the house by yourself and then not having both your girls there. And that must have been quite a massive adjustment, really. And that must have been quite hard.
A time of rediscovery of who I am as a person. That's what I think I went through that time period. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, for me, my son came back from uni and he got a job more or less straight away. And I was like, look, as opposed to you moving out with your friends, because quite a few of them moved out to London, I was like, just stay at home for a year, because you've got your new job and there's so many changes in the fact that most of it's kind of virtual, because it was a hybrid working. So I wanted to coach him in terms of that adjustment from uni into a new workplace, how they communicate, how they collaborate, but then also still being that needy mum, kind of still being on demand. I can still make your lunches. You don't have to worry about your lunches. You can still have your dinners. We can still have a chat, sort of thing. We could pretend to have a coffee chat at 11 o'clock. It was like, no, we're not doing our coffee chats. It was like, you can do my lunches, you can do my dinners, that's about it. I was like, okay.
You wanted eyes on him, really, didn't you, still? Because, when you're saying that you were there to sort of try and coach him in a way, that's still eyes on, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's eyes on. I kind of sort of felt I just needed someone to talk to and to really open up and advise on when working virtually. Because I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's quite easy to be in a house of other like flatmates. You're alone in your
Yeah.
room. You know, you're
Yeah.
still alone. And even though someone sort of says, oh, how's your day? You're like, oh, it's okay. Or it's fine. But you don't really go into, oh, my manager said this, or I don't know how to take this email. It's all these little things. So he just felt more equipped when he did move out in a year's time that he had that. That was probably more for me, that I felt that he needed that. And I think, you know, looking back, I think he would probably say it helped him. You know, I just wanted him to be back. I just want my best friend back, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I hadn't seen him for like 4 or 5 years. So, you know, and it was nice because my daughter, she didn't like reality shows, funnily enough, whereas he would watch all the reality shows. He loved the same shows I did, like, you know, Dubai Bling, Asian Bling, anything,
yeah.
Love is Blind, you know, stuff like that. We would watch all these kind of shows together. He had the same dry sense of humour, and he loved my cooking, which is a big win, to be fair. As you know, my husband does all the cooking. So
Yeah.
me then transitioning into cooking lunches allowed me to experiment more on my cooking side. And he absolutely loved them. He would never criticise. He would never say this too much. So he'd be like, this is so nice. Thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'll cook you another one tomorrow. So it allowed me at the same time to become more independent in terms of cooking.
Without knowing it.
Yeah, because I wasn't cooking.
Yeah.
You know, and my husband didn't really like having lunches, whereas I loved having my lunch and my son liked having his lunch. So I was like, okay, I've got to start cooking my lunches now. And with me going through menopause, I literally had to revisit my whole diet. And he helped me revisit, because he allowed me to say, okay, well, what are you going to cook today? You know, let's do vegetarian, but let's think about what else we can experiment. Not that he would actually help me cook, but he had the motivation to start experimenting, which I did.
You had somebody to discuss it and have a conversation with and try out new ways of doing things, and felt excited about it, it sounds.
Yeah, and cooking for someone. Because like you said, you know, it's so easy. If you're cooking for yourself, you're like, oh, I'll just do a quick, easy one. Oh, I won't bother with lunch, or I'll just have some snacks. Whereas if you're cooking for someone, you make more effort, and you make more effort in experimenting. You make more effort in actually trying new ideas. So it definitely helped me rediscover that side of myself. And he gave me that independence of actually detaching from my husband's life. So me and hubby, we would do everything together, go to the gym together. And he'd be like, why don't you just go to the gym down the road? And why don't you go in the morning? You know, why are you going in the evenings with like, say, my hubby? When you get a bit tired, let's go in the mornings. And he would do that with me. I think it was more like a weaning off process for him, doing it for me. He was like, let me wean you into this. So without me knowing it, I think he was unconsciously making me more independent, and making me more independent in letting go. So he then did move out, and he moved out with his group of friends that he had from uni. He then got a girlfriend very quickly. He then replaced my needs. Geez, boys and the girlfriends, it's like the girlfriends literally are the replacement, basically, sort of thing. So you have no say.
Well, I'll never get to experience that, because obviously I haven't got a son. So it's very interesting what you're saying there. Yeah.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. How you felt she was your replacement.
Yeah, because then they start doing all this style. Oh, no. Like little things like, oh, he'll say, oh, I've got this event. I was like, okay, great. Let's go do some shopping. Oh, actually, I'm doing that with my girlfriend. And, you know, and I was like, what the hell? Like, you know, hello, you need to be doing that with me. Sort of thing. So there's little things like that, they drop you off. But there was a quote that when I first heard it, I thought, okay, this is good. And I have to keep reminding myself of it. Is that kids come through us, and they're not here for us.
Wow, I love that. Could you say that again, please? Because that's a really important thing for us to remember.
Absolutely. So kids come through us, and they're not here for us. And I did actually speak to my son and daughter, and I was like, I heard this quote, and he was very much, that makes a lot of sense. So I think he was just like, okay, great, that gives me possible to let go, for you to let go now. And I was like, okay, not so quick, yeah, this is the process. But you're quite right. I think for me, I spent my whole entire motherhood equipping them, both of them, to be independent and develop wings to fly. But in a way, I still wanted to hang on to them as they flew. And I knew full well that I need to let go. And I had to catch myself every now and again and say, okay, what am I doing? Stop calling all the time. Stop feeling like this. Just let them go. Whereas my husband was completely different. He was able to let go very quickly. I think he was pleased. He was almost at the end of that tunnel, basically. He could see freedom. He was like, no, we're living our best life now. We've got our freedom. That's it. I was like, even though I craved that freedom when they were younger, I didn't expect it to come so quick, and what it would actually do. So, so for me, I'm still in the process of letting go, if I'm completely honest with you. My daughter is a lot more independent. We hardly ever see her. I mean, she lives at home with us, but, she drives. She probably comes home maybe twice a week, 3 times a week if we're lucky. But we still have a laugh and everything else together. But it's letting go of that as well. So, this is the whole reason, again, kids come through us and not for us. They're not here for us. Not here for us to take care of our needs or, to be clinging on to us. We're literally brought them into life to actually make them independent, for them to fly, and we've got to let them fly and go. But yeah, how about you, Em?
I think for me, after COVID hit, for my eldest who'd finished uni, she took a gap year, a bit like your son as well, to find the job that she really wanted. So she was at home. And then my youngest actually came home from uni. So everyone was at home together during that COVID year. And this took a bit of readjustment again, because yes, now there were not 2 children, but 3 adults in the house, all with hormones. Let me add to that. So I was glad to have the noise and the chatter in the house and have time just for us 3 to enjoy that time together. And I have to say, it was one of the best Christmases we had together, just the 3 of us during COVID. Then my youngest went back to uni and my eldest then moved out with her boyfriend. And this didn't at the start feel very different from her being away at uni. But now, they were both building their own lives. My eldest had her own home. And it was again realising that actually I'm not the significant person in my children's lives anymore. I'm on the periphery of their lives. But that's okay. They just need to know that I'm going to be there for them if they want me and need me. It was and still is sometimes hard to readjust my thought process to thinking about them being fully grown adults and now making their own decisions, and I have no influence on how they do things. It's still a box that I have to keep on breaking myself out of. And I sometimes give unsolicited advice, which doesn't go down too well. Not well at all. So with my youngest, after she returned from uni, we actually had some real clashes and battles where she was sticking to her boundaries, and rightly so. Brought her up to be like that, and just saying, I'm home, but you don't need to be telling me what to do. And it's really hard to change your mindset from a parent of a dependent child to a parent of an adult child who's clearly able to look after themselves. I mean, they've literally been doing it while they've been at university. And yeah, we had quite a few clashes. And I have to take responsibility and accountability for the times when I tried to force her to do something that I wanted her to do, because in my mind, I knew best. And I was like, and I'm just trying to protect you. I'm just trying to help you, even though she's an adult now. And she, of course, being the strong and independent person she is, enforced her boundaries with me. So it's still sometimes hard for me when I feel passionately protective over them both. And they have taken to teasing me and calling me a smother. Yes. And all I can say is I have to put the fierce Mama Lioness back in the box and remind myself that they need to learn from their own actions and mistakes. I cannot protect them forever, and they are adults and don't need me to tell them things, but change my role, like you were saying, to be more of a listener and advisor, and if asked for opinions, so they still feel empowered as individuals to make their own choices. Yeah, there was definitely a sense of loss and bereavement of my role changing from that focus of being on raising them, advising them, deciding for them, looking after them, to being the one now who watches them fly and flourish. My old role as their mum box had to be forced open. And I've had to work hard to change my mindset, to knowing that I've done a great job raising them as wonderful human beings and they've got beautiful souls. And my role of mother of children is now accomplished. And now I am the mother of adults. What has it been like for you since letting go, Z?
First of all, I love that term, smother. I think you need to trademark that name, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it was a programme on TV and they were like, Mum, you're like that. Mother, did you see that? She's smothering her kids. I'm like, I don't want to be that smother mother.
No, definitely not. I think for me, it was the loss of purpose was the biggest thing. You know, when you spoke about, like, you know, letting go and not being a mum again. So, you know, when they say people allow their jobs to define them, I allowed my kids to define me. And I think that's what I did all my life, you know, because you're running around, like, do everything for your kids. My son eloquently put it one time that I really needed to rediscover myself, which at the time was a bit of a slap in the face. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you don't even know what your hobbies are. You don't even know what you enjoy. And he goes, you can't even name anything that you actually enjoy, which was true. Because when he asked me, what do you enjoy? And I was just like, I don't know. And he was like, what are your hobbies? And I was like, I don't know. So they was like, outside kids, I don't know. So, so for me, I just sort of felt as a mum that I've always been constantly looking after and nurturing others. And I've kind of like forgotten about myself. So even though I looked after myself superficially, like always do my hair, body, look after my body, makeup, etc., I didn't really know who or what I really enjoyed in my life outside family, you know, more as me. And that was a bit of a shock. I think when you kind of like get to the point where you kind of like stop running as a mother and then you kind of sort of think, okay, well, let's look at yourself now. What do you actually enjoy? It was just literally like it being a shell of a person and having to fill this space with me stuff now, which was completely new. Because I'm sure a lot of people will probably resonate the fact that putting yourself first kind of always made me feel a bit selfish. It's like, oh, but, you know, what can I do with my hubby? Or, you know, what about my daughter? Or should I put this? Or should I do that? So not ever putting myself first. So that felt really alien for me. How about you, Em?
Yeah, I definitely felt that I had to shift my mindset from a mother of children to how do I now become a mother of adults? And what does my role look like in this time period? And I'm sure it will continue to evolve as well. So for me, it's been an adjustment of being less of a mother with many hats and roles who is constantly present and doing things and everything revolving around the children and for the children, to becoming more of a mother friend of young adults, where we all feel in a safe place to talk vulnerably, openly and honestly. It's like this inner sanctum of deep love, connection and care for each other. And also a place so that we feel listened to and understood, but also empowered. So I love spending time with them now on a very different level. I enjoy conversations we now have as adults together and doing things with them and building memories together. And I most certainly learn so much from them. And they're so emotionally intelligent and in tune with themselves. And I love their sense of humour. So with my changing role as a mother of adults, I'm now placing my health, that's physical, emotional and spiritual, my peace, my diet and nutrition, my needs and happiness at the forefront of my everyday life to be the best version of myself. And I've always felt it was important to have a purpose for myself as a woman, even when the girls were younger, as it was something core to me and my values, that I wanted the girls to know that I was more than just their mother. So I wanted them to see what's possible with a purpose and the values that I hold dear. And for them to know that I was making a difference to others was always important for me as their primary female role model. But since they've left home and got older, this purpose has been my motivator, and it's been really fulfilling for me through my careers, my interests and friendships. And I know who I am outside of the mother role. And I continue to grow and learn as a person through each period of my children's lives. Z, what does this next stage look like for you without children in the nest?
Yeah, I'm still discovering that. I think it's a little hard for me at the moment. I'm still in the process of working out what I want to do and how I want to navigate the next chapter of my life, if I'm completely honest with you. So, I had to catch myself not texting as much.
Yeah.
But now what I'm finding is, like, me not texting as much, my son or my daughter would text me and they'll call me and see how I am and what I'm doing, as opposed to asking me for things, just kind of checking in, which is really nice because I've not really had that before.
Space by letting go that they're returning themselves in a different capacity to you.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I think that's what it is. I think they're coming back now as adults as they are.
Yeah.
So knowing the fact that they can have a conversation with me, I wouldn't say as a friend. Well, yeah, I would say as a friend, as opposed to just a mother. Still having that motherly exterior and nurture, but being able to come to me as a friend for advice, which is very different, and it's nice. Yeah. I love that. I think it's really lovely. So I've decided to kind of like allow myself a bit of time, being kind to myself. Like at first I was like, okay, what does interest me? And I was like on this mission of trying to explore what interested me. And, did I have to get this sorted straight away? Then I discovered that, no, I didn't. Like, these things will come and it will come in time. I'll continue doing little things like my meditation, which I love, my gym work, and like looking at ways I'm kind of rediscovering my nutrition based on my menopause and everything else. And, everything else I'll try and experiment, but I'm going to take a little time. I don't need to get everything all figured out. So I don't know whether it's an age thing or whether it's change of the fact that the kids are growing and letting go, or a combination of all these things that are hard to deal with, because it did feel a bit overwhelming. And then it kind of sort of brought up a whole load of other emotions like, okay, is my life in the right direction? Have I done this right? And have I done that right? And then I found myself getting into this negative space of being really hard on myself and trying to think like maybe I didn't do everything 100%, which, to be honest with you, was the wrong way to go. I think I was just trying to fill the space of the void I had of not being needed. We're trying to understand, what I could have done better.
To be needed.
To be needed,
yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So it was just really letting go of that, going through a process of being kind to myself, of actually understanding that I'm actually just shedding skin. I'm transitioning now to the other side of my life, another part of my life. I need to actually refocus on myself and just remind myself what a journey I've been on as a mother. Like even going through this episode, it's kind of like bringing up loads of emotions in me, and it's making me feel like, it's even letting go by even doing this episode and speaking out loud, because it's saying I'm letting go now. That chapter's over now. And there's loads of great memories and there's been loads of challenges along the way, but I've been so proud of myself to raise two independent adults, and I need to remind myself of that. And it's now time for me to untie my apron strings, not the kids to untie it because they chopped them off a long time ago. It's time for me to untie it and put it away and really rediscover myself in my prime and in my 50s.
I really like that analogy of untying your own apron strings, because it's having to transition our mindset, isn't it? More than anything, when our children leave. And definitely, like you, this episode, we're still in that transition phase. You know, my youngest, for example, has just moved out to live with her boyfriend now. So both of my adults are now not living at home permanently. This is now permanent. You know, they will not be coming back to live at home again. So this is another phase for me. They're adults now. They're like my friends now. What I do know is that I no longer fear losing touch with them or being close to them, because we've developed this close relationship and connection in how we communicate with each other. And that's only become stronger as they've become adults. So I know that this real love and connection is never going to be lost, and it will remain strong. That's going to keep us together no matter what. We make that effort now, like you were saying, they have that space. So they now say, oh, Mum, do you want to do something? Should we do this? Should we go out and do this together? And that's lovely, because when they're free to, we do things together and build special memories, you know. And I'm not holding on tightly in my mind to them, but letting them go and knowing that they're flying and flourishing as the strong, independent women they are. And this, I've come to realise, is being a parent to adult children. And I'm still learning my way through this. I'm, of course, you know, living on my own, and very recently back to living on my own again. But this time I feel more prepared. I may be alone, but I'm actually not lonely anymore. I've learned over time to love my own company and feel fulfilled as me. And this has taken time and space. And it's a real shift in my own mindset from where I was right at that beginning, that first time when I was alone in the house. So I've grown to enjoy my own company as much as being around friends. I enjoy chilling by myself. I love my sanctuary and that feeling of peace that invokes, and taking care of myself physically, but also, you know, doing things like reading, learning more about myself. I've learned what's made me me by understanding who I am, looking into my childhood, the triggers, and really worked on myself. I've got those interests and hobbies which give me joy. And secondly, I follow my purpose, and I know that by doing these two things, I turn up as my best self for my family and friends. So I look forward to what happens next with excitement, and who knows what things might change. You know, it's the next chapter in my own life, which is great as it is, or maybe even being open to exploring opportunities of a new partner. Or who knows when the next generation, the new grandparent, might happen. So more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure I want grandkids yet, to be fair. I feel like I've gone through that parenthood and like looking after kids. I'm like, nah, I want a break, like a long break.
Grandparents, at least you can give them back.
Very
and
true.
Just enjoy the great parts.
Very, very true. Absolutely.
Right. Okay, let's now take this time to reflect and think about what we would say to our younger selves, and what advice would we give to our younger self based on what we've learned now. Z, what would you say?
Yeah, I've been thinking about all of this. I've taken a lot of reflection on what it all means to me. And I discovered that it's never been about the children. I don't feel this has ever been about the children, but it's been more about me letting go of being a full-time mother of 25 years. So letting go and saying goodbye to that Z, that's been probably the hardest part. And rediscovering a new me in this next decade or next couple of decades. And that includes relationships, connections, and purpose. So the advice I would give to myself and anyone out there, to be honest with you, who is at this point of time, is to be kind to yourself. It's going to take time. There's no right answer in terms of how you get there or how quick you get there. Life is just an adventure. So you've got to strap in, as we've got so much more to discover about ourselves and about what life brings to us. But park fear, uncertainty, and all those unknowns in a bag, and just don't look in that bag that often. And try your best to be present and to relish what you have. And above all, remind yourself what an exceptional being you were and still are as a mother. What about you, Em?
Letting go of the role of mothering a child and stepping into the role of parenting an adult is one of the most profound transitions a mother can take. So it's about redefining your role. So instead of being that caretaker or decision maker, evolving into the trusted advisor and emotional anchor. So your adult child doesn't need parenting in that traditional sense anymore. They need respect, boundaries, and space to become who they are. So respect their autonomy. Your adult child has a right to make mistakes, change direction, live life on their own terms, even if it looks very different from yours. This creates their self-belief and that you trust them to make their own choices. 3 useful tips, I would say, based on my experiences. Avoid giving unsolicited advice. Don't fix problems unless asked. Let them handle their own responsibilities, even when it's hard to watch, and it is hard. Do the inner work, because letting go brings up grief, fear, and a sense of lost purpose. That's normal. But don't project these feelings onto your child. Instead, reflect on your own identity and purpose beyond being a mother. So explore those hobbies, friendships, or dreams once you set aside. Journal, talk with friends, seek support to help you through this process and shifting from control to connection and choosing curiosity over control. Practice listening more than advising. When your adult child is sharing with you, start with, do you want me to listen or would you like advice? Ask questions like, how do you feel about that? What do you think you'll do next? Is there any way I can support you? This builds mutual respect and maintains that closeness we want without overstepping their boundaries. It empowers our adult children. And start rebuilding those relationships, but as equals. Eventually, you'll find your adult child treats you more like a peer or a friend. And welcome this. It's a sign of a healthy relationship. Apologise when you're wrong. Share your own struggles and wisdom. But as a fellow human being, not as a superior now, not from a position of authority. And enjoy time together. It's not just about caretaking. Watch a movie, travel, cook, do things together that you both enjoy or talk about. Mothering never ends, but it must change. The greatest gift you can give your adult child is your faith in their ability to lead their own life and be their champion by always showing them your love and support. Thanks for listening today. We would love it if you could click the subscribe button and add your comments and share with as many people as you feel would enjoy our discussions and stories.
We would so love to hear your stories, so email us anonymously or with your first name any stories about being in the box and getting out of that box. Our email is in the link below.
We can't wait for you to join us next time on our next episode. Were there more boxes? Join us to find out.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm so excited.
We have so much to share.